Well, hello everyone! My name, as always, is Bloodstained Wings, and today we're actually going to be doing a Patreon reward painting. What is Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is a place where you can support me. Follow the links below if you would like to. Where for a certain amount of money every month, I will give you a certain size of painting, or just, say thank you and be forever praising you for how much you love me in return for how much I love you. That's a thing. But you don't have to, but it is nice. So I thought I would do another example. I have done other Patreon paintings on my channel before, and so this time we're going to be doing a happy otter. There you go. And there he is. Isn't he so cute? Just so precious. I love him so much. So this is a Patreon reward for my Patreons Ashley and Jason. And they get this size painting, which is 9 by 12, and that's in inches. And if you want the centimeters, please feel free to translate that yourself. I'm cool with whatever translation you do. If you're ready, I did do a gesso underpainting, which you are about to see. And if you're ready, let's get started. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If you are going to be painting along, please feel free to do a gesso underpainting of an otter, of a very happy otter. This is a Patreon painting and therefore not for sale. So sorry. But it is going to be of an otter. Hopefully it looks like it in the end. That's the plan. The plan is for at the end for it to look like an otter. Right now it kind of looks a little squishy, especially in this area, but we'll fix it. You'll see. It'll be fine. Alright. So there's that. We're also going to be doing this mostly palette knife style. Not entirely, but mostly. But before we do that, we're going to jump into the blue. We're immediately going to mix green and blue, just a smidge of the blue at first, and then we're going to add more blue later. But for now, we're going to try to get a nice green kind of color around our lovely otter. And we're starting with the background because we're going to be doing mostly palette knife over top, which is going to have a lot more texture and color and thickness and all kinds of things like that. So we're starting with the base of some green that is hopefully a slightly bluey green. And we're going to kind of make it more bluey as it is farther away from the actual otter. Except for this part here where we're going to actually have a little bit more of the blue. So now we have a nice base-ish to go from. We're going to add some more blue. Now I am using Phthalo blue. I'm not using Prussian blue. I know I usually use Prussian blue these days, but I thought the Phthalo blue would brighten it up a lot and make it a little more interesting. So I'm going in here with a little bit of the blue. This part's going to be brown, but the blue is going to add a lot of like wet depth to it. Those are some good words. Wet depth. Hope you enjoyed those words. Alright. So I have actually done this painting as a Patreon reward previously. And we're doing it again because one of my other Patrons was like, oh my god, I love it! And then while I was streaming on Monday, I ran out of time to do this painting, and this painting is going to take a long time because it's so much, it's palette knife forward, let's say. So there is some brush work, as you can see in the background here. There is some brush work, but for the most part, it is going to be done with a palette knife. There we go. Now we have some like lines through there to make it look like there's some water happening. It was just a little bit on the green side, so I wanted to add a little bit more blue. And also I wanted to darken the edges, so the edges were nice and dark, which helps to give it like a vignette kind of feel. Remember how I forgot the word vignette in one of my videos? Hilarious. All right, now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and prep our spaces here. So I'm going to try to have like more of a yellow ochre kind of feel to this area here, and then go down to some burnt umber. Yes, burnt umber in this kind of area here. So I'm just going to start with applying the color, and then after the color is on, then we're going to start using the palette knife. So we're not using the palette knife yet. We're planning our colors first. So this part here is all yellow. And it was all yellow. Okay, and we want to be very careful around the edges because we do not want to pick up any of that blue or green, because we don't want this part to be green or blue. We want it to be yellow. All right. There's a little bit of that down here, but it's mostly brown. And then this part up here is practically white with all the yellow. And then there's, the paws over here on the one paw. And then the rest of this is brown that then gets it gets palette knifed over. Words. Sorry guys, I work today at my job, as I usually do before my paintings, but today apparently my brain was like, no, that's all you needed to do today. And I'm like, no, a million things. Alright, so now I've got the brown on my brush, and I didn't clean my brush at all. There's no cleaning of the brush here. But I've now got the brown, and I'm just kind of applying it in this section here, and then we will blend these together so that they end up working eventually. Just trying to get more of the paint off my brush before we do any blending. Could I use another brush? Totally. Am I going to? No. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna use this brush. There we go. See? There we go. And then this gets progressively darker as it gets over here. Which is why we have the blue in it. Which is just going to make it really, really dark. The blue with the brown is a very dark kind of color, so adds a lot of shading and nonsense. Okay, that's good. We're going to blend it out a little bit more with a fluffier brush. There we go. Just blending those in together. This part here is a little brown. There we go. Does this part really matter all that much? No, it really doesn't. We're going to be painting with a palette knife over top of this, and it's going to be very, very everything. In a few moments, there will be basically none of this visible, but we have now a plan. This is our basic plan. There is a little bit of white that ends up going on top in this area here. I'm just pointing because pointing is easier with a paintbrush. So yeah, there's gonna be white on top, but it's yellow underneath. So this is the like under painting. Even though I'm not really doing an under and then over painting, we're basically just doing an under painting. So really. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to think about the way that the fur moves while I do this. this needs white. Hang on. Let's mix some white in with that. That was too dark of a color. And also, I think I'm going to use my small knife for that section to help give it that. There is fur coming out of this area. There we go. See? All right. We're just gonna keep trying to add texture, keeping in mind the direction of the fur. That's really important for furry creatures, the direction of the fur. So always have references when you're doing these kinds of things, because otherwise you're going to be like, I don't know, and then you're not going to put it in the right way, and you're going to be like, why does this look wrong? Like, why does my fox nose look wrong? And it's because the fur's going the wrong way. So you want to make sure the fur is always going the right way. So this fur comes like this, and then like this. With palette knife stuff in general, you want to make sure that your angles are correct, because that's really what's going to determine how something looks, is if the angles are correct. That's why it's so important to make sure that you have the fur going the right way, because the angles are what's going to determine the fur going the right way or going the wrong way. We have the over fur here, brightening that whole thing up. See? That's the plan for the most part. Now we just have to do, like, you know, the entire rest of it. Just wanted to show you what that was going to look like. But we still have a lot of fur left to do. So let's get painting, shall we? Mix some more white in there. So I've just got white and yellow ochre in a mixture here to keep it not super pure yellow ochre, but also not white. Just keeping in mind the way that the fur is growing here. This fur comes like that. We're going to come back in and draw in our eyes again later. Okay, now we really have to think. Because this fur is all like really short fur. Well, it might start to thunderstorm, and there might be thunderstormy kind of sounds going on in the background. Okay, we just need a little floof that comes over the edge. There we go. Beautifully done. And now we need a little bit of brown that somehow blends together and is in like this kind of area here. Doing that right through there. There's just like a little bit of some darkness happening right there. I have a reference picture just for you know, letting you guys know again. I have a reference picture. There we go. Okay. So that area looks right-ish. And then we have this one that just barely goes out a little bit around the mouth. All right, starting to get a little texture, starting to get a little lively. That's what we're looking for here. I think we might need a little bit of red as well. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go get some red. All right, I got a little cadmium red, just the smidgiest, most smidgen of cadmium red, and I'm mixing it with the brown so that we have like a really reddish brown. Oh, sorry about that. And now I'm gonna come in here and add just a little bit of some reddish brown fur that is kind of over here, dancing about. What's it doing over here? I'm not entirely sure, but my reference image has it, so we're doing it. And then on the outside of that, there's a bunch of fur dancing about like that. There we go. All right, now we can come back a little bit more in here. Add a little bit more in here. And we're gonna grab the little brush again. Do the tops of the paws here. There we go. All right, now we can do the white that goes on top, because there's a lot of white that goes on top of this. And I'm really excited about it because it really defines everything. So we're just going to lighten up this area here, like so, right around there. So it's all nice and bright. And then we come across this area just very gently on top, adding a bunch of texture and light, just zinging right through there. There we go. There. A little bit like that, and maybe just a little bit more defined through. I'm trying to think of where this is. Looking at my reference to try and make sure I get it in the right areas. A little bit over there. Just a little bit. Okay. So there is the top part done. Excellent. Looking great. Now we need to do all of the bottom part. Now we just need to do the rest of the entire painting. No big deal, eh? No big deal. All right, so I've got a whole bunch more of my brown, my burnt umber, and I'm just gonna take it and I'm going to, keeping in mind the way that the fur grows, apply it to my canvas here. And this is going to be very dark. This fur kind of does this through here. We just kind of want to represent how it does that. There we go. There we go. Got some fur going on the outside, which is good. There we go. All right. And then now there's fur that is dark through here. And then it's dark through here. This. That being said, I forgot that it was kind of light in another area, that's okay. We can go ahead and mix more light color. Yeah, let's make it a little bit of a weird color. Yes, in betweeny weird color. Yes, that's what we're looking for. Hello. Because it's kind of in between these two colors, the brown and the yellow and the white, which is 3 colors if you know how to count. But if you're me and you don't know how to count, then it's 2 colors. Right, everyone? Thank you for agreeing with me. I appreciate that. There we go. Get a little bit more of the brown through here. A little bit more of the yellow on the end here. Then we'll just blend that back upwards using a palette knife because we're professional. Yes. Excellent. Okay, let's now add the white. The classic adding all the white, because that's going to make the fur stand out. So I got a little, just to remind everyone, you get a little roll of paint on the end of your knife there, a little tiny roll of paint. It stands out like that. And then very, very gently, you just drag that across all the other colors, and the canvas will pick up what it wants to pick up and leave what it wants to leave. And that's how you get all this breaking happening, where the paint just kind of does what it wants. That's what you want your paint to do. You want to be very gentle so that that happens. Very gentle. Because basically the only thing that's touching the canvas is that roll of paint. Your palette knife is not actually touching the canvas. And that's very important. It takes a lot of practice with a palette knife to get to the point where you can do that. So please don't be upset if you're like, God, I've been doing this for a year and I still can't do it. It's fine. Keep going. You'll get it eventually. You just got to keep going with it. I'm just going to go ahead and get a little bit of this brown and find the edge of our paws. And then have it come in a little bit. Zoom over here. There we go. And the last one. There we go. This is very like abstract Otter, just in case you were like wondering. Here, let's do the eyeball and maybe that will help it to feel better. Right now, it just looks like a pile of mess. And even I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. There. So we got an eyeball back. A little bit much on the end there. That's okay. We'll come back with some white and we'll just kind of blend it away. Oh, there we go. There it is. Eyeball hype. We now have an eyeball. What we don't have is more white paint, which we absolutely need. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that going. I'm also going to do a little bit more white, I think, on the top here. I really want this part to be like vibrantly white. There we go. That's better. There we go. That's better. So now the light is shining on that area and then shining up down here, like getting his little cheek. It's all like, I'm a cheek, you know, because he's a cheeky little bugger. He's really cute. You know what else we should do? While we have our liner brush out, why don't we go ahead and do the mouth? So I'm going to use that red brown that I used earlier. Just again, come in here and give a little bit of a tongue. The implication of a tongue. There we go. Nice clean line on the edge there. And then, see if we can get a little bit of this and a little bit of white. And maybe we can do some teeth. So I've got a little bit of goop and a little bit of white. Hopefully it's white and not pink. Okay, that looks white. Very, very gently adding in some very tiny white teeth. Excellent! White teeth. Why don't they have any teeth on the top, you might ask? I have no idea. My reference picture does not have any teeth on the top. That's how it is. That's the way it goes sometimes. Alright. So we've got our yellow ochre mixed with white. I'm just going to come in here and add some little chin furs through there. Beautifully done. And now we're going on to the brown. And it's just like right to the brown. And the brown is also going to have white on it too. Do the highlights, but oh geez, I've got way too much not brown. So we're just going to mix this thoroughly. There we go. And now just add more brown. And then it will be dark again. See? Don't worry. I'll use it. Alright, here we go. So, I'm going to come in here. These are all like this. They're all laid in like layers. Like that, where they just have these like layers of fluff. And the way these are going, they actually go from the bottom up, but because the top part is lighter than the bottom part, I have to kind of do it this way. But then I'll come back and I'll do the whites properly. Right. Come back in here. Lay the next layer. Never mind the noises, that's fine. There we go. Alright, and now that we have most of that laid on, I'm going to go in with the brown, but I'm going to mix it with the blue that I have on my canvas as well to make it like really, really dark. This is going to darken this brown. Alright, you ready for this really dark brown? Bam. See how it like turned almost black? And that's what we wanted it to do. We wanted it to basically turn black. There we go. I have unfortunately run out of paint and I need more paint. Classic me. When it comes to palette knife paintings, I always run out of paint. I gotta be very careful with the amount of blue I use, because if I use too much blue, there's no coming back from it. So right now I'm using roughly twice as much brown as I am blue, just to give you an idea of the colors that I'm making if you were going to recreate it on your own. I've got twice as much brown as I do blue to get that color on the bottom there. All right, now we can do more highlights, which is very exciting. Everybody loves the highlights, so. Okay, going from the bottom up so that the top layer is on top and the bottom layer is on the bottom. That's the important part. So here we go. The angle of these is like this, and we're just gonna come in and really gently give this a little pull. Clean our palette knife, get another roll of paint, and then in the next section, do another row of highlights. Oh geez, that's too much white. There we go. Another section. Just come in very gently, pull it down so that it breaks. That's what we're looking for. I ran out of white. There we go. Just gonna keep running out of white, so we're just gonna add a lot more white on our canvas here. Classic. Excellent. There we go. There we go. And then the top layer, well, I want this to like come over a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more coming over with that. Top layer to blend everything together. And now we have a delightful little otter. I'm just blending these together so they're not so stark. There we go. Just gonna make sure we have like a little bit that is kind of floating off the edge. Just a little bit to be like, wee. There we go. There, better. Much better. And now we have an otter. Look how cute he is. Oh my god, he's so cute. I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the white and yellow mixture to this spot here, because it doesn't quite look right. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more to it. There we go. That looks better. What else? Is there any, oh, let's make like the nose maybe a little bit darker. Let's come in and paint his nose with the dark color. So this is again that mixture of blue and brown. And because it's already black, this is just gonna help to like really make it darker. It's not really gonna do much other than just make it darker and also shiny, because the gesso underneath is not shiny. So doing this helps to make it shiny. There we go. Looking good, looking good. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of it as well underneath these teeth. All right. Oh geez. I stuck my whole wrist right into the painting. Luckily the painting didn't notice, but my wrist sure did. Jeez. We'll go over here. There we go. Give him a bottom lip. And also, I'm going to give him not whiskers, but whisker holes. Whatever whisker holes are called, we're going to give him whisker holes. And they're just like, you know, around there. Whisker holes! Whisker holes! What are whisker holes called? Anybody want to tell me? I don't know what those are actually called. The spots that whiskers come out of. I'm sure they have a name. Everything has a name, you know, but like, what is that name? Don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of blur the edges over here a little bit with my round brush. just because it doesn't seem very good. So I'm just going to blend that a little bit. Same within the corner over here. Just to help it to feel a little bit more blendy. But I do like the overall like stripy lines of the rest of it. I think that still totally works. So that's good. I just want this to be a little bit more blendy in the corner. So I'm just going to blend it a little bit more. There. That looks and feels much better. All right. Thank you for joining me doing this Patreon painting. I had a lot of fun. Palette knife paintings are so much fun. Speaking of, there might not be any more monthly palette knife paintings. If you are like, what? Stay tuned for the next couple of paintings and videos where I explain what's happening and what's going on. It's not going to be the one after this, it's going to be the one after that. But if you want to know what's happening, please stay tuned for that. And I will let you know. But thank you so much for watching my video, and thank you so much all of my Patreons for continuing to support me. I really appreciate that. Please remember, guys, that you are loved and you deserve to be loved, and I will see you next week. Mwah! Bye!